As President, it's my solemn duty to ensure America's national security while vigorously pursuing every path to peace. Toward this end, I have repeatedly pledged to halt the decline in America's military strength and restore that margin of safety needed for the protection of the American people and the maintenance of peace. During the last several years, a weakening in our security posture has been particularly noticeable in our strategic nuclear forces, the very foundation of our strategy for deterring foreign attacks. A window of vulnerability is opening, one that would jeopardize not just our hopes for serious productive arms negotiations, but our hopes for peace and freedom. Shortly after taking office, I directed the Secretary of Defense to review our strategy for deterrence and to evaluate the adequacy of the forces now available for carrying out that strategy. He and his colleagues, in consultation with many leaders outside the executive branch, have done that job well. And after one of the most complex, thorough, and carefully conducted processes in memory, I am announcing today a plan to revitalize our strategic forces and maintain America's ability to keep the peace well into the next century. Our plan is a comprehensive one. It will strengthen and modernize the strategic triad of land-based missiles, sea-based missiles, and bombers. It will end long-standing delays in some of these programs and introduce new elements into others. And just as important, it will improve communications and control systems that are vital to these strategic forces.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and welcome to this month's Live From at the Reagan Library. Sorry that we're a few minutes late. We were having some technical difficulties, but we're here with you now. Just a few days ago, on October 2nd, that marked the 40th anniversary from when on October 2nd, 1981, President Reagan announced his U.S. Strategic Weapons Program. The program had three objectives: to act as a deterrent against Soviet threats to America and our allies, to provide the U.S. with the capabilities of stopping further Soviet expansionism in both a reasonable time and cost structure, and to show our resolve for a genuine arms reduction agreement with the Soviets. To honor the 40th anniversary of this historic program and its announcement, we're going to spend today's Live From video in our Peace Through Strength gallery. Now, don't forget, we do take your questions at the end of this program, so please, if you have any questions about the Reagan Library, Ronald Reagan, what we're talking about, just put them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer them at the end of the episode. So when Ronald Reagan entered the White House, he was determined to strengthen and rebuild up the U.S. military. He insisted on military might not just for its own sake, but to discourage threats against American interests, to defend freedom around the world, and to help bring the Soviets to the bargaining table. So it's really no surprise that it was only 10 months into his presidency that Ronald Reagan announced his U.S. Strategic Weapons Program. In fact, it was during his inaugural address on January 20th, 1981, when he said, "For the enemies of freedom, let them be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, we will sacrifice for it, we will not surrender for it, now or ever." Here in the Reagan Library's Peace Through Strength gallery, we see the blueprint for Ronald Reagan wanting to end the Cold War. For example, right here we have President Reagan's National Security Decision Directive number 75. This document was more about just containing the Soviet Union. It was about stopping further Soviet expansionism. In fact, this document is one of the most important foreign policy documents of the entire Reagan presidency. Because in the 1960s and 1970s, the Soviet Union surpassed the United States in the buildup of almost every type of military category. So for Ronald Reagan, it was really important to figure out a way to stop this growing imbalance. So Ronald Reagan focused on things that he knew how to do best. One of the first things he wanted to do was to boost the morale of our U.S. soldiers. He increased their pay, and he also did what he did best, face-to-face diplomacy, as well as working on mutual agreements that benefited both sides. So one of the things the president did was start to reach out to Soviet leaders. In 1981, he reached out to Brezhnev. In 84, he reached out to Andropov. In 85, he reached out to Chernenko. But it wasn't until Mikhail Gorbachev took office in 1985 and agreed to actually meet with the president that change really began to take place. So when Ronald Reagan took office in 1981, the U.S. Navy, less than half of Navy ships were combat ready. But by 1988, they were almost all combat ready and ready for action. When Ronald Reagan took office, only 6 out of 10 Air Force units were ready for action. But by the time he left the presidency, they were nearly all, 90%, over 90% were combat ready. Ronald Reagan's courage as a leader, skill as a diplomat, willingness to combat communism, and his commitment to rebuilding the U.S. military really helped bring an end to both Soviet expansionism as well as the Cold War. So as you know, we spend each of our live from videos looking at a handful of products from our museum store that really get at the theme of our live from that we're talking about. So today, as you know, obviously we're talking about Peace Through Strength. We have 2 caps in our museum store. A simple blue Navy cap that says Peace Through Strength with Ronald Reagan's name on it. But we also have a cap based on the USS Ronald Reagan, CVN 76. That is the ship named after President Reagan. And on the back of the hat includes embroidery of the commissioning date of the ship, July 12th, 2003. In addition to the 2 caps, we have a great shirt in our museum store that says on it, United We Stand. So a really great sort of Peace Through Strength type shirt. Now, as a reminder for those of you who might have watched before, or for anyone who's new here, you can purchase any of these items simply by going to our store at reaganlibrary.com/store, or you can even go to our Amazon store at amazon.com/Ronald Reagan. And not all the products are on the Amazon store, but it's ease of payment. But if you do go to our reaganlibrary.com store and scroll down just a little bit to the featured products section, you will see all of these products. We have 2 more to share with you today. A really beautiful heavy paperweight that says Peace Through Strength on it with Ronald Reagan's signature. And then perhaps my favorites, we've saved it for last. Everyone is familiar with Beanie Babies. When the USS Ronald Reagan CVN 76 was commissioned in 2003, the Beanie Baby Company created a Beanie Baby bear to honor the commemoration of CVN 76. And Mrs. Reagan was at that commissioning in 2003. And she actually hand-signed a handful of the bears. We have a small grouping of these still left for sale in our store, one of a kind. And so again, our CVN 76 Beanie Baby Bear with Mrs. Reagan's signature on the back. So I know this was a shorter live from than we normally do. This gallery doesn't have a lot of artifacts. Next month, we're going to be honoring our 30th anniversary of the Reagan Library, and we will show you a whole bunch of really great artifacts from the groundbreaking of the museum, of the library, the opening day of the library. And that's actually how I want to end. So next month, November 2021, marks the 30th anniversary of the Reagan Library opening to the public. To honor this historic milestone for the library, we're going to celebrate the month with events, concerts, discounted tickets, and a whole bunch more. You can learn all about it and see a whole lineup of programs simply by going to reaganlibrary.com/30th anniversary. You can hear all about it. I know we don't have any questions. On the off chance you watch this later and have a question, still go ahead and put it in the comment section. We'll check it periodically throughout the day and we can answer you then. Might not be live, but we will get back to you if we know the answer. So we want to thank you for joining us again. Sorry that we were a few minutes late. We really appreciate your time. We will see you next month.
This plan is balanced and carefully considered, a plan that will meet our vital security needs and strengthen our hopes for peace. It's my hope that this program will prevent our adversaries from making the mistake others have made and deeply regretted in the past. The mistake of underestimating the resolve and the will of the American people to keep their freedom and protect their homeland and their allies.